Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing, well, the title might be a little bit confusing for those who watch this channel rather frequently. As frequent viewers may be aware, and as some have pointed out, it may be something of a semantic point, but I view there being a difference between border runs and visa runs. So-called. Now, it's a labeling difference. At the end of the day, they're very similar activities. I get that. But I like making the designation and the distinction because they, in my opinion, we are kind of talking about two different things here. So what do we mean? So, in my mind, the border run is basically when someone hops over the border, for example, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Malaysia here in Thailand. They literally just hop over the border. What you see a lot of down here in Bangkok, Pattaya area, it's sort of the eastern part of Thailand, see a lot of folks run over the border to Cambodia. They just hop the border. They're there for, relatively short period of time, almost nominal period of time, and then they hop right back into Thailand, and then they get their status that way. Then there's what I think of as a visa run, which is when one flies, or you could drive, but ultimately, what's going on here is you're going to an embassy, in this case a Thai embassy, and getting a new actual visa, then coming back to Thailand. So border running I kind of think of when I think of the visa exemption, and visa running I think of when I think of people going to an actual embassy. Again, kind of a semantic point, but one notable nonetheless. I thought of making this video after reading a recent article in the Pattaya Mail, pattayamail.com. Article is titled, Thai Visa Runs to Laos Latest Update. So this is kind of the reason for the title, as you'll see later, but overall the reason for the title is visa runs and border runs, bit of a muddled thing sometimes. There's sometimes not the clearest distinction between the two, but when I think visa runs, I think of somebody going to get an actual visa, not using an exemption stamp, hopping out, coming back in, getting a new exemption stamp. That's the way I think about it. In any event, quoting directly, most foreigners wanting a longer holiday in Thailand are opting at the Cambodian border for a new 45-day visa exempt stamp with the option to extend for a further month. However, some nationalities, notably Indians and Chinese, cannot use this route as they are not categorized visa exempt, but rather visa on arrival, which is different. Visa on arrival applies to around 20 countries and offers 30 days plus 15 on payment of a fee of 2,000 baht on arrival in Thailand unless waived. All foreigners are restricted to 2 border visa runs in a 12-month period. Okay, a couple of things to unpack there. As I already discussed, a bit of a distinction between border run and visa run. And again, maybe a semantic point, but I think that the distinction is worth it because it gives more precision as to what you're talking about when you're talking about what you're doing with respect to your visa. Leaving that aside, the whole issue of 2 border runs a year. Now, we discussed this when it was first promulgated in the Royal Thai Gazette, and yes, the actual law says all foreigners are able to get they're able to do basically 2 border runs a year, and they list the nationalities. It's basically the nationalities that are visa exempt, not visa on arrival, visa exempt. Okay, now, where there's a bit of a misnomer here is it may, and I stress may, be possible to do another border run in a given year. Immigration has that discretion, and in the past they used it a lot more frequently. They make it sound like you get 2 and only 2. That's not necessarily the case. Immigration has discretion to let somebody in another time in Thailand. It's just they're not overly inclined to use it. I've seen a mixed bag on that, especially on the 3rd time. Most of the time immigration points it out to the person coming in and says, hey, look, you've done 2 this year. We're going to let you in this time, but be aware there's going to be an issue later. And they'll likely put a notation in their system on that, I presume. I'm speculating a little bit, but maybe put in a notation on their system on that and basically go ahead and when somebody were to come back in after that within a given year, at that point I think you're going to have problems. But the notion that it's 2 and only 2 and that's hard and fast is not quite correct. They do have discretion to let people in more than twice a year in a border run kind of scenario under the visa exempt setup. I think more and more you're going to see them not want to exercise that discretion as time goes on. For now, I don't think they're going to go out of their way to turn away much of anybody looking to come into Thailand, especially prospective tourists. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. We'll certainly keep people updated on this channel as the situation evolves.